Hi everyone, today I want to share with you my personal portfolio, and that is both my dividend and non-dividend portfolios. This will be the first time on this channel that I show off my personal investments and show you the realistic dividend income from such portfolios. Now I started my investing journey just about 2 years ago, and since then I have learned a lot and hope to translate all of the mistakes I did to you guys so you don't have to do the same mistakes. So let's get straight into it. We can see that the portfolio cost is sitting just at about $8,500, with the portfolio value plus dividends sitting about $100 below, which means that I am currently at a loss of 1.10%. Now this doesn't really bother me at all, as over the past few months my portfolio has been flying up and down. I've been up $1,000, I've been down $1,000, and this is something you always have to keep in mind as a value investor. Your portfolio value will be flying up and down over the short term, but over the long term it will only go up if you invest correctly, if you invest into value stocks. Now right below the main board I have the future portfolio outlook, which predicts the portfolio value over the next 5, 10, 15 and 20 years, and that is accounting for inflation and considering that I would invest $1,000 every single year into my portfolio. So we can see that in the next 5 years I would be making about $686 every single year through dividends, and in the next 20 years I would be making about $2,178 every single year. Now, the value without dividend reinvesting of this portfolio would be sitting at about $106,000, and the value with dividend reinvesting would be sitting at about $135,000, which is almost 30% higher than the value without dividend reinvesting, showing the huge power of the dividend snowball effect. Now we can see my current holdings currently split between about 18 companies, which only one of them being a non-dividend company, and that is PayPal. Now let's jump to my holdings workshop, and here you can see everything a bit more clearly. We can see that I'm invested into Virgin Communications, TNT, BTI, MPW, Pfizer, MO or Altria, LUV or Southwest Airlines, CVS, USB, Coca-Cola, NSA or National Storage Affiliates, WBA, probably my worst investment, GIS, Target, Cisco and Starbucks, and below we have PayPal, which is my only non-dividend stock currently. Now the reason why I say that WBA is the worst company in my portfolio isn't that I am down by 44%. It is because I haven't done just enough research to purchase the company and to figure out whether I was buying it below or above its intrinsic value, and if at that time it was over or undervalued. It was also the first company I ever bought, and I was very much prompted to buy it by the very high dividend yield. And that is one of the mistakes I want everyone to avoid. Do not buy a company just because it has a high dividend yield. Now talking about dividend yield, if I scroll a bit more up, we can see that my portfolio dividend yield is currently sitting at about 5.1%, with expected yearly income with tax sitting at $305.98. Now the tax rate is sitting at 20%. If I was to change that to 0%, we would see that the expected yearly income with tax would be sitting at $382.48, with the average monthly income being about $32. But I will change that back as I'm getting taxed at a 20% rate, which gives me an average monthly income of $25.5. Now, if we have a look back at the holdings workshop, we can see that Virgin Communications I'm up by about 5.62%, MO I'm currently up by about 2.10%, and USB I'm up by a whopping 40%, with Target being right behind it, up about 30%. Now both of these companies are dividend yielding companies, with Target's dividend yield sitting at about 2.82%, which isn't a very high dividend yield, but Target does have a very good dividend growth, which means that in a few years, in say 5 years, my dividend yield on cost would be about 5 or 6%, which sounds and looks much better. We can see that the dividend yield for income is sitting about $17.60 every single year. Now, if we come up to USB, I currently have 17 shares of USB. I bought it at $29 and currently it is sitting at $40 a share, which means I'm up by almost $200. Now, USB has a dividend yield of almost 5%, which is a very high dividend yield. They don't have such good dividend growth as Target, but we can see that it pays me about $33.32 every single year in dividends. Now scrolling down to the graphs, we can see the industry value of my portfolio. Currently my portfolio is 28.4% consumer staples. Right behind it is healthcare at 19.2% and third is financials at 15.5%. I'm also invested into real estate at 8.6%, communications at 8.4%, consumer discretionaries at 7.9%, and technology at 6.9%, with the lowest portion of my portfolio being industrials sitting at only 5%. And regarding company-wise, my biggest holdings are CVS sitting at 9.6%, USB sitting at 8.5%, and Starbucks sitting at 7.9%. We can also see that I do have some cash on hand, sitting at about 11.3% compared to my whole portfolio, which is something I always like to have, so that whenever a company that I have on my watch list drops to the price I want to buy it at, I can buy it without hesitation. Now, whenever I purchase a company, I purchase it based on its intrinsic value. And to find its intrinsic value, I use my stock valuation spreadsheets. So if you'd like to support me and with that access the ultimate valuation spreadsheets and the company tracker, I'd highly recommend that you go check out my Patreon, which I will link in the description. Now let's go check out my dividend dashboard. So if we jump to my dividend dashboard, we can see that my all-time dividend income is currently sitting at about $310, with the expected income this year sitting at $322.05. And below we can see the portfolio value over years specifically for the dividend portfolio and the industry value specifically for the dividend portfolio as well. And if we have a look at the bottom left, we can see the monthly dividend income and income to date chart, which shows us that May is my highest paying dividend month in the year 2024. And to have an even closer look at my dividends, let's jump to my dividend calendar. So we can see again the expected yearly income sitting at $322.05, and we can see the dividend paycheck in May sitting at $33.27. I will be getting a paycheck from Virgin Communications for $6.5, from TNT for $4.5, and from BTI for $8.5. I will also be getting a juicy paycheck from CVS at $7 and from GIS at almost $3 and finally from Starbucks at $3.7, which all amounts to $33.27. And this really shows you the dividend income you can expect from a healthy $8.5 thousand portfolio. And there you have it. This is how much my dividend portfolio worth $8.5 thousand paid me in the month of May. I hope you enjoyed the video, and from now on I will be making regular videos about the updates to my portfolio so that you guys can follow me on this investing journey of mine. And so if you'd like to understand all the purchases I make and why or when I buy and sell different companies, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video so that more people get to see it. And with that, if you'd like to check out some of my company valuation videos, you can do so on the screen right now.